Boom. All right, what's going on, you guys? It's Royce Jacob. Welcome back to the channel and welcome back to Crypto Convo, series where we cover exciting news and price action in the land of Bitcoin, cryptocurrencies, and crypto-related stocks. You guys, Bitcoin is breaking out as we speak. We are popping off, and of course, that makes me that much more excited to record this Crypto Convo for you guys today and talk about some very, very promising names. All right, so let's get straight into it. As always, we'll quickly go over each topic we're going to be discussing, and then we'll dive into each one individually. In front of us, you guys know the drill, TradingView, where we'll cover the following names today in this order going down the watch list. Talk technicals, talk price action, talk some good old price targets. All right, kicking it off, of course, with the King Bitcoin. You guys, just the last half hour of price action. Shout out to the Discord group. We're following this closely as I was in there talking shop with you guys. Bitcoin is popping off as we speak. Just broke a very significant level for me personally of 53K. I will explain for you guys why that is as we dive into the charts, but Bitcoin looking very strong right now. I am short-term bullish on Bitcoin, and of course that's not only good news for Bitcoin itself, but the entirety of the sector. Okay, again, Bitcoin is king. If Bitcoin's going up, it's very, very likely that many of the other plays in the sector are going to do well as well. So kick it off with Bitcoin, move on to the silver, to Bitcoin's gold, Ethereum. Talk about altcoins a little bit. I'll give you guys my thought. Again, we're not going to dive into a lot of altcoins as you can see here, but we will talk Ether. I'll let you guys know what I'm thinking in terms of price targets for Ether and just give you guys some of my thoughts surrounding the altcoin sector as Bitcoin starts to move up. Then we'll move on, of course, to a couple of my favorite stocks in the entire market, and the two stocks specifically that I think will benefit the most from Bitcoin doing well, and that's because they are Bitcoin mining companies, good old Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital Holdings. So Riot and Mara, the two Bitcoin miners, have been getting pretty beaten up over the past few weeks, and with Bitcoin doing well, I'm very, very confident that Riot Blockchain and Marathon Digital Holdings will do very well tomorrow. And of course, if Bitcoin continues to climb, it only makes sense that Bitcoin miners who are compensated in Bitcoin will continue to do well as well, and hopefully see those triple digits that we've all been waiting for. All right, so Riot and Mara, move on to XNET or XNET. So XNET was, if you guys have been following along, a very promising play. It's not looking super exciting to me right now, especially considering we are seeing a sell-off in the tech sector, and unfortunately XNET or XNET is really seeing some of the ramifications of that greater tech sector sell-off. That said, it will be interesting to see with XNET specifically. So Riot and Mara, I'm very confident will do well tomorrow. We will have to see because many of you know I am still bearish on the equity markets. I do still think the equity markets have a little more pulling back to do, and that's just even more of a reason for Bitcoin to do well in my opinion, which again I'll get into a little more. You know what? I'll just talk about that now. So if I do think that if the equity markets do continue to see a pullback like I believe they will, capital will still be want to put to work. So there's always a bull market somewhere, all right? If capital is flowing out of overhyped, overextended tech, like the tech sector primarily, if there's so much capital in the tech sector, you guys, there's so much capital in the greater equity markets, and if even a small portion of that capital flows from the equity markets into Bitcoin, into Ether, into the crypto sector, because again, if Bitcoin and Ether do well, it's very, very likely that Riot Blockchain, Marathon Patent Group, all the plays we're going to be talking about today are going to see some significant price appreciation. If capital flows out of the greater equity markets into this specific sector, that's like the ultimate stars aligning. That would be crazy, and that could lead to obviously some very, very exciting price action to the upside. Okay, so we will cover XNET. XNET is going to be one that I'm definitely keeping a close eye on, once again, because I do want to see how it acts if the greater markets do happen to see a sell-off. Again, you guys, this is just my opinion. Maybe everything rallies, but if XNET will be one in the sector that I'm definitely keeping an eye on how it reacts if the tech sector continues to sell off. All right, so XNET, and then we'll close it out with my two of as far as actual common shares go, probably the two plays I'm most bullish on in the entire market right now. Many of you know this, OTC stocks, very small market caps, takes little capital inflow to appreciate the individual share price, and that's why I really like them from a trade perspective. Okay, if there's enough momentum behind these plays, then that's when you see very, very appealing asymmetric risk profile, which is what I look for as a trader personally. Okay, so CWRK doing very well today, up 17%. This is especially bullish considering the rest of the sector sold off. So it's very, very bullish. That a very obvious blockchain play that does fall under the tech sector, high risk tech sector, cryptocurrency, while everything else in the market pretty much bled out. CurrencyWorks was up almost 20%. So very, very bullish sentiment right here. You know, eyes are on this. You know, people are going to want to be attracted. People are going to be extra attracted to a stock that just has so much momentum behind it. Also, CurrencyWorks looks very, very good on the charts right now. I did tell the newsletter this morning that currency works right now looks a lot like Riot blockchain did in early 2020. So I think we all know how that played out, and that makes me very excited on that. And then close it out with the absolute Titan, the Mars rover, baby. ALYI up 35% today. I think this is just the beginning of the bounce back, and I'm so pumped to see where ALYI goes. Again, we talk about ALYI a lot, you guys. It's a very, very exciting play to me personally. If you guys don't like it, that's all right. You can just tune out at the end. We'll cover it at the end, and yeah, I'll talk about the good old Mars, the Mars rover, the moon mission. There we go. That is ALYI. So before we dive into the charts, I will ask you guys, as always, to please give the video a like if you do go on to gain value from it today, or if you're invested in or trading or excited about any of the plays we're going to be talking about, because I definitely am. Give the video a like, really means a lot. Subscribe to the channel if you're new around here. I never ask for numbers, but I really just want to get to the even 40K. So that would be awesome if you guys aren't subscribed. If you want to catch more content like this, really appreciate that as well. And of course, before we jump into the charts, check out please check out, definitely gotta say please check out my complete portfolio daily newsletter. First link down in the description. $15 a month if you want a complete breakdown of my entire portfolio that I do update every single trading day during market hours. This is comprised of all call options, put options, stock positions, cryptocurrency positions. I do update that once again every trading day during market hours, and with every update, I send out a pretty darn comprehensive email newsletter to your inbox, rationalizing my thoughts, letting you guys know what I think is exciting in the market, letting you guys know why I'm trading what I'm trading. With the update, I let you guys know why I made the trades I made, throw some charts in there, throw some analyses in there, and so you guys know what I think is important at the time of like actual market hours. Okay, so again, $15 a month, really appreciate it. Really means a lot if you check that out too. First link in the description, but as always, if not, no worries, and let's dive into these charts. So Bitcoin, again, you guys, it was super exciting. This happened. For those of you who've been tuning in, I have been saying like a close above 53K would be a pretty telltale signal. I do still need to see the daily closure. So a daily closure, just to play it safe, above 53K will signal to me that we are once again in a short-term uptrend, and this probably isn't a bull trap. Again, you guys, the markets are a very, very tough read right now. I want to say that as well. It's I'm not as far as my confidence goes, I'm less confident than I've been in the past, just because the markets are so, again, it's just a tough read right now. The technicals are looking weird, volumes are weird with the price action we're seeing. There's a lot of catalysts, like there's a lot of micro factors that I'm not really going to get into that just make me super sus on the market still, like the greater market environment. A big one is DXY and Bitcoin are going up at the exact same time, which is weird, which is another reason I do think we will see capital continue to flow out of equities. And Bitcoin, again, Bitcoin last week did break correlation. It diverged with the S&P 500. So as the equity markets fell, Bitcoin did very well, which is just another fundamental reason, another star aligning for Bitcoin. So again, just in the Discord group, we were live while we saw Bitcoin break 53K. Very exciting. So shout out to all you guys if you're there, experience that with me. But again, yeah, it's cool. Like short term, very, very bullish. The reason 53K was the level for me that I need to see broken was because it's specifically this red dotted line right here. Okay, so this line you can see over the course of this head and shoulders pattern. You can lower this a little bit, but Bitcoin has seen this as a significant ceiling in the head and shoulders pattern that we've been talking about for the past week or so. Again, left shoulder, head, right shoulder right here, spanning about 10, almost 11 days. You can see that the highest high of the left shoulder was at about 53.4. Okay, so that's what I would consider the highest high of the left shoulder. So as long as Bitcoin was below that, there was still potential, in my opinion, that the head and shoulders could play out. Again, we are extending past it. It's pretty likely to me that we won't see this head and shoulders play out. Again, it's still possible, but I at this point, again, literally just this 4-hour candle right here pretty much sealed the deal for me. We didn't set this double top. We are setting obvious higher lows and higher highs here. So again, just very general trend line. This is the channel that I'm keeping an eye on for the short term. Top side price target for Bitcoin is to test a pretty, again, you could draw this like this, you guys, but this purple line I've had in play for a long time, and I do think this purple line will definitely come into play, and because it's acted as a very significant line of support for Bitcoin in the past. Again, old support becomes new resistance. I think if these two converge together, which would be the end of the week, so March 12th, end of the week, Friday, if Bitcoin does continue to rally up, I think we could see a new all-time high in Bitcoin at 60K, just under 60K. We'll call it 60K. So I think it's very possible that unless something goes terribly wrong and we break below this, so if we break below, we'll get to that after. Regardless, end of the week, if we do continue to rally, Bitcoin's looking very strong. I think we could definitely hit a 60K Bitcoin. On the downside, because you guys know, I do still think it's possible, I will say. Now, I would say it's like I just said it was like 60-40 that Bitcoin would pull down. Now I'm like 60-40 to the upside. We will hit this target. But again, markets are still sketching me out a little bit. I still think there is a chance. I would say maybe 35-65 to the downside now, as opposed to vice versa, like I just was. So again, you guys, this market's crazy. I'm doing my best for you guys. Please forgive me if again, I obviously can be wrong, and I'm just doing my best to read the charts through my lens. All right. So downside, if we do break below this line of resistance here, then it would be very, very likely to me. So if we break below this, that would set a lower high, a lower low on the short-term uptrend right here. So if we close below, I would say if we close a 4-hour below, even if we dip below this, because this is a pretty strong trend line right here, line of support. If we break below, say over the next few days, if we break below 49.5, then that would give me the inclination that we will in fact come down to ultimately test 40K. So again, you guys, keep an eye on this chart for yourself. This is the primary channel I'm looking at if you're trying to dictate short-term direction. But right now it's looking good, and I'm very confident that we will probably ultimately come up to test the top side, which, of course, is not only good news for Bitcoin specifically. I mean, this is great news for RIOT and Mara, so this makes me very bullish on RIOT and Mara. But before we get into those bad boys, let's talk Ethereum. So Ethereum is still looking a little sketchy here. So Ethereum is like, this is a beautiful ascending channel right here, you guys, and you can see that after Ethereum broke out of this very beautiful long-term ascending channel beginning in mid December, that's when we started to see it use it as a line of resistance. So again, you guys, TA 101 right there, previous support will become new resistance. Ether obviously using this as resistance. I think it's very likely that Ether does come up to test this line of resistance once again, use it as a line. Previous support, new resistance right here. This is definitely a trend line that is in play. So I do think that over the next day, if we do continue to rally, probably tomorrow, we will see some resistance around like 1915, like just general like 1900 level. But if we can break above this, so pretty much if we hit 2K on Ether, that would be almost an all-time. So if we hit 2K, that would break us back into the overall ascending channel, which I think is very possible. And it would also set a new all-time high, which is very bullish as well. So again, Bitcoin, Ether, they are both like on the path to potentially setting new all-time highs, which on top of the current short-term technicals is very, very bullish as well. And of course, the macroeconomic environment. Again, if money does flow out of more, I'm not even gonna say like I'm gonna say overvalued, because I still don't think Bitcoin's overvalued by any means. I think Bitcoin is undervalued for what it is. But again, Bitcoin is an entity amongst itself. It's digital gold. I think the equity markets are overvalued because those are actually companies subject to financials. So again, I think capital will flow out of the equity markets straight into the crypto markets. That's just kind of my bird's eye view opinion right there. So again, Ether, if we do break back into this ascending channel, I think it's very, very likely we ultimately come to test the top side of this channel. Let's just do April 1st. If we do get back into this channel, start rallying for Ether again. April 1st, if we break back into this channel successfully, would take us to a $3,000 Ethereum. Downside target for Ether is going to be, actually at this point, this is why? Oh, that's the long-term line since the initial rally in November. So this is the absolute line of resistance. Let's draw this right here, because this also roughly. So right here is kind of like the downside target I'd be looking for on Ether. Yeah, so I mean, as far as asymmetric risk profile, which again, you guys, means that the upside potential outweighs the downside risk. I mean, Ether at the downside, I think at worst, Ether will probably come down to like 1,400 again, maybe double. We could ultimately come down here. This is worst case scenario, but because again, sentiment is so strong right now, Ether and altcoins as well, that will be interesting, similar to XNET or Junlei, like I was just talking about earlier, because Ether and these plays are more tech related. Like this is like blockchain plays. So Bitcoin, again, is digital gold. It's an entity amongst itself. But Ethereum, like Cardano, XRP, so many of these other, just literally almost every other play in the market, in the crypto market, every other token is more tech related. So pretty much it's Bitcoins versus altcoins. There is a Bitcoin versus altcoin chart that you guys can look at. Shout out Datadash. He does a very good job with looking at that a lot. We're not going to look at it today, but again, these are just things to keep in mind. Okay, so I do think Bitcoin will outpace altcoins ultimately. But if Ether does break back into this ascending channel, that's a very, very obvious, very beautiful ascending channel. I think it's very, very likely that Ether, over the course of the coming few weeks, if we do successfully again break back into this channel, will ultimately come up to like $3,000 by the end of the month. So very exciting there. That said, let's move on to RIOT blockchain. So RIOT, again, you guys, I thought it was pretty likely that RIOT would ultimately come, and I'm still not discounting it. It will be very interesting to see if Bitcoin does well and RIOT doesn't do well. Because again, I think some traders out there still don't really know what RIOT is. They know it ripped. They know it ripped over the course of 2020. They're very excited about it, but I still think today Bitcoin was doing pretty well, but RIOT and Mara both diverged. So my apologies, you guys. My screen recording software just crashed. I hate not doing videos in a single take, but this one is going to have to be spliced. Regardless, we are going to keep the ball rolling, pick up right where we left off. RIOT blockchain. Again, we are talking about the divergence of RIOT blockchain and Bitcoin potentially because the equity markets are seeing a sell-off. So again, not just XNET, but RIOT and Mara, even as Bitcoin did decently today, did see a pullback. So it will be very interesting to see if the bleed over from the equity pullback does spill over to RIOT and Mara. Again, even though many of us know that it makes perfect sense that as Bitcoin go up, RIOT and Mara should be directly correlated to that, just an amplified version of what Bitcoin does. That's what it does for the most part. But again, we've been following these stocks for so long, you guys. We've seen this happen before. Sometimes RIOT and Mara against greater reason or against greater rationale do pull back as Bitcoin appreciates in value. So downside price target for RIOT, I think this is very unlikely right now. I think RIOT and Mara it's very likely that they will rip tomorrow, and I'm very excited for that personally. I do still think it's possible that RIOT ultimately comes just because it hasn't completed this correction yet. You could call this definitely a higher low right here. Again, high, low, way higher high, higher low, definitely be a higher low. But I still think it is likely at some point in the future for sure that RIOT will ultimately test the overall line of support on the greater uptrend beginning in mid-December when Bitcoin and everything else started rallying. So I do think it's possible that RIOT comes down to about $28. My price target on the downside for RIOT is $20. If we happen to come down to $28 for any reason at all, I'm once again good old irresponsibly bullish on RIOT. It's been a while since I said that, and it feels good. I will once again be irresponsibly bullish on RIOT if we come back to $28. Even now that Bitcoin's looking so strong, I think it's very likely once again that both RIOT and Mara do very well. And yeah, I think it's super likely that we could ultimately come to test the overall line of resistance. If that happens by the end of the month, if we start to see another rip up in RIOT, the third wave, you could almost call that the second wave, the second big wave, that'll take us to $130, and that is so exciting, you guys. All right, so that is RIOT blockchain. Again, crossing the fingers for more downside, so we could potentially see a way better buying opportunity. But regardless, I still think that RIOT and Mara are going to rip tomorrow. So Mara is dancing beautifully on the line of support. You see 1 4-hour closure below it. We did technically break below the overall line of support on Mara, but immediately eaten back up with buy orders. You can see it successfully used once again with this 4-hour candle that followed the one that dipped below it. So Mara looking very bullish as well. I think Mara is likely, as far as asymmetric risk profile here goes, you guys, this is like a great... In my opinion, this is a great time to enter. Even if we pop off tomorrow, I still think Mara could see some very, very exciting price action in the near future. Even though I do think we pop off tomorrow, I'm sorry. I definitely think we'll see exciting price action. But even if we do go up like, say, 20% tomorrow, I still think Mara is at a great buy, especially long-term, okay? So I will definitely... Again, if we do see this, I will or go sideways. If we go down, I'm definitely picking up more Mara. But regardless, it's very likely that whatever happens, I'm probably going to pick up more Mara tomorrow. So I'll just tell you guys that now. Upside price target for Mara is going to be to test this overall line of resistance right here. This is what makes most sense. This is going to be the most bullish price target up here, which we'll get into. But that would take us to a $65 marathon pattern group, like RIOT did. RIOT. So this is a very similar trend to RIOT before RIOT saw that breakout above this trend line, and then ultimately tested the hyper optimistic trend line right here that uses these two highs as opposed to this longer term high. So more medium one, again, this definitely came into play, but I think it's very likely because Mara does actually have so much Bitcoin on their balance sheet, significantly more than RIOT, which is important to know. I think Mara could see its time to shine. I think Mara will ultimately play catch up with RIOT, and if Mara does come up to test this high at the end of the month, that would be $95. All right, so very exciting potential here as far as asymmetric risk profile goes. I think Mara is at an amazing place. And yeah, I'm very, very excited to see what happens with Mara from here on. Moving on to XNET, you guys. So XNET or XNET, again, XNET has seen seen some carnage, you guys. But I don't think there's definitely more upside potential than downside potential for XNET, all right? So XNET, again, you guys, has seen a very... following XNET was so fun because it was a very predictable chart. And even now, you see this high again, low. It took a long time. XNET has a very, very low volume. So all it really takes for XNET to pop off is a solid amount of volume. And again, XNET is definitely more prone to catch some of the bleed the bleed over from equities if they do continue to pull back, if the tech sector continues to pull back. So you got to be a little more cautious with this one. I do think we could go down a little more, maybe go sideways for a little bit prior to popping off. But ultimately, once we do see XNET pick back up, they do announce earnings, I believe, at the end. I think next week XNET announces earnings. I'll definitely keep you guys posted on that. But keep a close eye on that, you guys. Riot and Mara, very important to understand. They announce earnings, I believe, on the 22nd and 24th of March. That's going to be very, very bullish for both Riot and Mara. And XNET does announce earnings, I think, next week. I think it's on the 14th. Please correct me on that if I'm wrong, but I think it's on the 14th. If XNET does impress on earnings, I think it's very, very likely. Like, if they significantly impress, if we have bullish sentiment behind the crypto sector, which we are definitely seeing. Let's just do April 1st right here. So April 1st, good old April 1st price target. April Fools, that would take us to about $16 to test the overall line of resistance on the uptrend. And yeah, I wouldn't be surprised to see that at all. Keep in mind, you guys, XNET's all-time high, not all-time high, but XNET's high back in the 2017 rally was $25. So if all goes accordingly with XNET, I think it's very, very possible that we could see XNET pop off to a high of $25, which would be awesome. Okay, so that is XNET. Price target for now is going to be about $16. We will see some resistance likely around like around the 1350 region, just because that was a very historical ceiling floor for XNET in 2017. But I do think XNET will ultimately come to test the top line of resistance on the overall uptrend at $16 over the course of the next month. Moving on, CWRK. Again, this is granted everything goes accordingly for Bitcoin, and Bitcoin continues to rally. So moving on to CurrencyWorks. CurrencyWorks looking great right now. So CurrencyWorks, again, you guys, this looks so much like Riot did in early 2020, and I'm so excited to see where this goes, because CWRK, even after some of this crazy price appreciation, it has seen a significant correction from its high of $2.20 all the way down to 79 cents to 80 cents, which is insane. But again, I've been picking up some CWRK, you guys. I've been accumulating CWRK, and CWRK does have a market cap of only, let's get down here. Where the heck is the market cap? Why do I always skip out right here? I don't know how I passed that. Market cap of only $47 million, you guys. So again, it does not take much capital inflow at all for the price of the individual CWRK common share to increase in value. So again, if CWRK was to 10x from here, that would be, CWRK could 20x and it'd be $1 billion company. And $1 billion market cap is even $1 billion market cap is small in this current market environment. So if CWRK 20x'd, that would be obviously very exciting. That would take us to like a $25 CWRK, which is very, very possible in my opinion. Again, maybe that doesn't happen super soon, but I think it could definitely happen over time, especially considering CWRK is a very cool company. They help companies tokenize shares of their company. So pretty much create liquidity, create their own tokens. All right. So CWRK, very exciting. I think short-term price target for CWRK, if we do pop off, is to test the overall line of resistance, the absolute line of resistance, on the overall uptrend. That would take us to, if we hit it, say we hit it, we'll just do it by the end of the month like everything else. So March 29th, that would take us to a $3 CWRK. That's over 2x from this point right here, which is obviously very, very bullish. Closing it out with the Mars rover that is alternate systems, ALYI. Again, you guys, the Revolt token ICO did have a little bit of difficulties there, technical difficulties. That's definitely a little sus. I'm just straight up. There's no way to dispute the fact that that's a little suspect. But I have tried to get in contact with the team. Again, you guys, I have zero affiliation. I've been in zero contact with this company at all. I have no insider knowledge. I see some people saying that. I don't at all. I just think it's a very appealing trade. But I did reach out to them. Actually, not even to ALYI, but to the Revolt token team to see what's up with that. And I will, of course, I'll tell you guys as soon as I get any information back there. But regardless, ALYI popped off today up 35%. You'd love to see it. Definitely bouncing from a very, very bloody, brutal correction that we've seen since its high back in February 10th. So almost, this correction spanned a month. Short term, I think it's highly likely, probably tomorrow we'll see this, that the previous line of resistance will be tested for ALYI, which would take us to about 7.7 cents. Would be my price target for ALYI. Like tomorrow, we might see a little pullback here, test because this is obvious resistance. Again, previous support will be new resistance. I think it's very likely that we do see a little struggle around like 0.77 cents. But if we can break above that, if we can close above 8 cents, just straight up, if we can close a 4-hour above 8 cents, then I think it's very likely that ALYI will ultimately come up to test the top line of resistance. Keep in mind, you guys, ALYI is a $7.5 million company. That's insane. So ALYI could 100x from this point and still not even be a $1 billion company. That's so exciting. And again, you guys, will ALYI execute on everything they're saying? I don't know. I have no way to tell if that's true, but they are making consistent progress. They just released some news today that they will have news regarding improvements on their electrical bike on Friday. So again, you guys, just consistency is what I care about here, and with the right consistency, again, I will definitely get back to you guys about that Revolt token ICO from the Revolt team as soon as I can. But if all goes accordingly, I think it's very possible that ALYI will ultimately go to Mars. Again, Mars is actually going to be way up here. This is still the moon. I think Mars, as you guys know, Mars is like the $10 level. $1 would be intergalactic. No, $1 would be Mars. $10 is straight up intergalactic. We're going warp speed, okay? So, topside price target for ALYI, just again, by the end of the month, let's expand this out here. If, say, we test this line of resistance by the end of the month, that would take us to 55 cents, you guys. Again, 55 cents from 6 cents. That's, you're looking at, again, like a sick 8 to 9x, which is, I mean, there's nothing, 8 to 9x. What else is there to say, okay? So, if that happens, again, you guys, be careful with this one. Always do your own due diligence. I'll be very careful to make that very clear when we're talking about ALYI. But I'm very excited, again, you guys, as far as asymmetric risk, which is especially what I look for in common shares. These are OTC, so I can't trade options on them. As far as common stocks like this, that's what I'm looking for, you guys. That's why I like ALYI. That's why I like CWRK. I'm not looking to invest in companies that can make me 20, 30% on my money. I'm looking for 5, 10, 20, 100x potential, all right? And that's where I think these two could be going right here specifically, because again, they're such small they have such small market caps. And again, you guys, if crypto, as I've been saying, does see that inflow of capital from the greater equity markets, where there's billions and billions of dollars of capital that may flee the tech sectors, the overextended, the overhyped, the overvalued sector that is the tech market, that is the tech sector, and goes into the crypto markets, and especially falls into some of these very exciting smaller plays, which is what investors are going to want to do. Again, everyone wants to 10, 20x their money. And again, people will over time see the potential that many of us see here in plays like CWRK and alternate systems. And again, there's just so many stars aligning for these. Granted, once again, everything goes right for Bitcoin, Ethereum, etc. And again, you guys, the fact that so much of the market pulled back today and CWRK and ALYI just ripped up over double digits, like that's so bullish. And it makes me very excited to see what will happen with these guys over the course of the week, the month, the year, the 5 years, the decade. Okay, so CWRK, ALYI, many of you guys know this, but I'll repeat this, and this is where we'll close it out. I view these as venture investments. Again, I'm only accumulating. Many of you guys know, since ALYI, over the entirety of this correction, I've pretty much been accumulating shares. I'm not trading this. I'm not trying to sell high, buy low. I'm just accumulating shares on the dips, because I do see so much upside potential for this company over the medium to long term. But as of right now, the short term is looking very promising as well. Okay, so we will call it there, you guys. Please let me know what your favorite play is, what you're bullish on right now. I think many of you are thinking the same thing as I am. Again, I'm so bullish on RIOT Blockchain and Marathon Patent Group, considering Bitcoin is seeing some very, very exciting price action right now. So super exciting times, you guys. Many more crypto combos to come, many stock talks. And yeah, let me know in the comments down below what you're thinking, what you're excited about, and what do you want to talk about. Like, you can talk about anything, you guys. I love talking shop with you guys. Literally, it doesn't have to be about stocks. I just like talking to you guys, learning from you guys most importantly. And yeah, we'll call it there. So catch you downstairs in the comments. Until next time, you guys, always remember, take action, make waves. Peace. Damn.